Messy cooking isn't inherently bad. Here's what my progression as a home cook would look like if I were to plot it out over a few years. First messy as a green cook, then tidy thanks to good fundamentals. These days my weeknight home cooking has ascended into what I like to think of as composed chaos. It's messy, yet under control. The quality of food doesn't suffer, usually, and most notably, it's quick. Here are 4 weeknight meals from the past week which all hit the family dinner table at a reasonable time. They all start the same way. It's just after 5, I walk into the kitchen, and of course it's kinda messy. There's a boatload of clean dishes in the dish rack, some dirty ones in the sink, messy tables and countertops, and stuff just around. So I grab a quick snack and make a mental plan. Usually the first step is to get pots and pans preheating. When you've got to be quick, the name of the game is prioritizing any time-limiting dinner elements. These are the pieces of the meal that will delay dinner if you misjudge the order of operations because they need time to cook. Something like a pot of turmeric rice needs to steam for a non-negotiable 20 minutes. That means the rice needs to be rinsed and toasted immediately so that the 20-minute timer can start ticking down. If braising is part of your recipe, then finish chopping the onions ASAP, even before you worry about chopping the garlic and aromatics that will make up the chickpea braising liquid. Those can happen once the onions are cooking, because onions need that time to sweat. For now, mise en place and cleaning as you go are out the window. Dishes pile up, things can get pretty precarious, and paying attention to whatever I have on the stove or in the oven requires all of my senses. Only once the pressing elements are cooking away will I begin other tasks, like chopping broccoli and tidying up. I know the cook time on the broccoli will be like 5 minutes tops, so once it's prepped, I'll have a 3 to 5 minute window to tidy some of the mess. But not before I get the pan preheating so that I can swap back to finishing the meal in a snap. And that's a pretty perfect Monday night dinner, a hearty, healthy rice and chickpea dish that will cleanse my weekend of enjoyable eating habits. There are always ways to expedite a dinner without compromising on quality. Take something as simple as preheating a sheet pan. When you're making smashed potatoes, there's no reason not to stick the pan in the oven while you're waiting for the potatoes to parboil. When they land on a hot sheet pan, they'll immediately start browning as you press them into the piping hot pan, instead of hitting a cold tray and cooling down. I was serving these potatoes with some rice flour coated and fried whitefish paired with a tomato and ouzo pan sauce. Fish cooks quick, so I'd normally have to wait around for the potatoes to be near done before the fillets even hit the oil. Expediting them means I can get started on the fish right away, and then it's not long till I'm sitting down to a pretty balanced plate of food for a Tuesday night dinner. There are many kitchen rules, but this video flies in the face of the big 2 you get beaten over the head with if you work in a professional kitchen. Although I think for most of us, it's the online cooks that do the beating. The first one is mise en place, essentially ingredient prep and organization, and the second is working clean. Transgressing these fundamentals is often necessary as a home cook, but it does make the whole dinner production momentarily chaotic. It'd be goddamn lovely to have everything measured and prepped in little bowls, and it would be luxurious to start in a nice clean kitchen. But sometimes you're crunched for time, especially on weeknights, even if all you're doing is reheating frozen leftovers. In that case, take whatever frozen food you have saved and sit the container in a bath of hot water for 2 to 3 minutes. Seems short, but that's pretty much all it takes to melt the outer edge so that you can pop the frozen cylinder into a pot and crank the heat. It's quick when you're in a bind and necessary if your microwave is in the basement. For something thicker like these refried beans, you might need to add a little extra water to facilitate melting and prevent burning. While the frozen block was in the hot pot, I was able to get all the components ready for some chilaquiles and frijoladas. Cracked up leftover tostadas, a quick charred and blended salsa, a basic crema, some final garnishes, and I even had time to fry some sunny side up eggs. By then the beans should be heated through. I gave mine a quick blend and thinned them out. Now it's just about a quick assembly in the biggest bowl you have. Chilaquiles are damn fantastic, and they make a great weeknight dinner that uses up frozen leftovers and scraps from the veggie crisper. This is what I'm trying to drive home. When you first walk into the kitchen, you should be thinking about what needs your attention first. What is step number 1? And doing your best to not get bogged down by a mess until you get a second. Within reason, of course. You might think that pickling something for dinner tonight is out of the question, but it's totally doable if you prioritize it off the jump. Step 1 is to immediately start warming up your pickling brine while you cut up your vegetables of choice. Drop everything into a metal bowl, toss with salt, and let it sit for a few minutes before rinsing off that salt. Then pour over your warmish hot pickling brine and let them sit for 2 minutes before plunking in a single ice cube and sticking the bowl in the freezer. You want them to quickly wilt into tender crisp territory before they go from hot to cold thanks to the ice, the freezer, and the cooling conductivity of a metal bowl. Now that they're chillin', you can bang out whatever else it is you've decided to make for dinner. Pull them out when you're ready to serve, and while you might not have the perfect pickled condiment that's been prepped the day before, you'll still have a chilled, delicious pickle to serve with dinner. For me, that meant piling this Vietnamese do chua on top of a much enjoyed shrimp banh mi on a Friday night. The cost of working like this is that it can get hectic and messy, but if I don't worry about a momentary mess, I can turn out good food much quicker. Plus, embracing the chaos and getting uber keyed in on dinner while listening to music is one of my favorite things. If you don't feel very confident in the kitchen yet, then my advice is to just focus on good fundamentals and repetition. Don't stress if you leave a wake of dishes behind you. After all, you're at home, baby. Some cooks are calm and collected, others are chaotic, but I think the best can adapt both styles when necessary.